Hello and welcome. Today I want to show you something I thought it would be interesting for you. I want to make a tag as a gift on a card. And I want to use these dies. These dies are from Creative Expressions. I have this set for a while and I like it very much. And first of all, I had the stamps for this set, and afterwards I find out that I could also buy a die set. Here you can see all the dies. You have always an inner part, and when you have this die as an offset, and I prepared something for you that you can see what I made. I used a red mirror cardstock and I used both dies together, but I tell you, you have to be very carefully because you must avoid to destroy your dies. Normally I would say make the first cut with the inner part and then you use the die for the offset, but I want to save time and I use both. But I used a strong tape. It is a removable tape, but it holds all things good in place. And I always need two pieces of my cardstock because I want to have a nice view on the front side and also on the back side, because when it is, for example, hanging in your Christmas tree or on something else, you want to have always a nice look on both sides. And this is now a piece I cut out with my dies. It is the smaller one, and I glued it on vellum. And also the second part I glued on the back side, and I had to fussy cut it because there was not enough place on my vellum to use the die and have all in place. And this is now the bigger one, and here I used also for the vellum the outline of my die, and you can glue the things together, and I show you now that I will glue the second part on my vellum, and I use a liquid glue, and I only put the liquid glue on the parts which will disappear behind my die cut. And I think the liquid glue is very well because it dries very fast. I try to use only a few of the liquid glue, but sometimes it comes outside and you can remove it with the pokey tool. Now I think it is finished. And here is my glitter cardstock, and as you can see I used it before with other dies, but I also use the very small parts of my paper and I trim it a little bit, and I will use it with my die cutting machine. And now you can see these are the dies, and underneath is the glitter paper, and I have always cut out two parts for each bauble, and here I glue the things together, and it is a nice contrast to the red mirror cardstock. And when everything is dry, you can put a little ribbon or a thread through the hole, and you can hang it on your Christmas tree. Now 2 parts of my baubles are ready, and I only used my die cuts, my dies, and mirror cardstock, vellum, and a glitter cardstock. And this is a die you can use for the embellishments, and I still have some ready, but I don't want to use it on my baubles. I only want to show that you can emboss these little things with the dies. In this set are 2 embossing dies, and we will emboss the word joy and peace in the cardstock. I want to show you now a little trick. I use my stamp from the set and I stamp with archival ink onto my foil in my Stampingbuddy. And now I use a leftover of my red mirror cardstock and put it in the middle of my stamp. And now you have always the right position for your die cuts, which you can prepare before. And you can do a lot of preparation, and you can make several baubles, and it is easier to do it like this. And I have now a little bit of removable tape and I put it on my foil, and now I put my die cut, the white cardstock, onto my removable tape. And the advantage is that you have now the stamp always in the right position on your bauble. And I think this is something you can do it again and again, and you have no problems at all. For this very detailed stamp I use VersaFine Clair, and later on I use a little bit washi tape because my mirror cardstock is a little bit moving on my laminated foil. I made this foil on my own with pouches of a foil which you use in a laminator, and it is a very useful thing, and yeah, I like it because you can stamp on it, and with archival ink, when you use archival ink on your foil, you can easily clean it with alcohol, and when you use, for example, oxides, distress oxides, you can wash it away with towel and with water. Yeah, and by the way, now you can see that I used a little bit of washi tape and also my magnets, and now it is really well attached, and you can use your bauble again and again. Yeah, and you can use it, of course, with other things. When you have a offset die and the right stamp for it, you can use it again and again. Yeah, I think a very nice trick, and yeah, I hope you can easily use it for your own things. I used different green colors of VersaFine Clair, and now I will clean my stamp because I don't need it anymore. And yeah, I will wash it also with a little bit of soap and water because I used archival ink before and I want to have my stamps clean. Yeah, and now I show you that I use alcohol on my sheet, and you can see that it is very easy to clean my foil, and now I can use it again for other things. And now I will put it away because I don't need it in this time. Yeah, and now you can see my results of my stamping. It is a very fast way to make many baubles, and yeah, I need always 2 pieces for one bauble, one for the back side and one for the front side. And now I show you my stems. These stems belong also to the set of Creative Expression, and the smaller ones have also little words and a sentence for your cards. And my baubles are nice, but I thought I can do something more, and I want to use now my mirror cardstock to make a little embellishment for my embellishment. As you can see, I have some problems with my washi tape, but yeah, I have to find a solution for my washi tape because I don't need it on my mirror cardstock. Yeah, and now I have my die cut and I try to find something. I have here my little brush and I wanted to use it, but I don't have my mat for it, and now I use my pokey tool. By the way, the mat for my little brush was on my table, but I couldn't see it. Yeah, something like a Bermuda triangle. Always a little joke, handicrafts get lost in the Bermuda triangle. Yeah, and now I want to do something with my die cuts, and I didn't like it how I can put the whole inner part of my die cut onto my stamp, and in my eyes it hides my little motif, my picture in the middle of my stamp, and I want to have something else. And as you know, I'm a mixed media crafter, and I cut it out, and now I try to find something new for my die cut, and I like it more. Of course, you can use your die cuts how the creator has planned it to use, but I cut out things, and I try to use also the cutouts, and yeah, here I try to find a place for this little thing. And on the Bauble now I have in my hand, I also glued something of the inner parts again onto my stamp. Yes, and I try to find out if I can use the offset of my smaller Bauble and use it with the bigger one, but it is not possible. I think that wouldn't be a good idea. I'm thinking about layering my cardstock, and I think I will use again one of my mirror pieces, my mirror cardstock, and I don't have much leftovers of my DNA 4 one, but I think I will use it. And here I have a leftover of my vellum, and I was thinking about my vellum and perhaps I want to use it, but at the end I only use my red mirror cardstock and another one in not a mirror cardstock but a cardstock in green, and I will do my layering things. Here is now my green cardstock, and it is something, it has a little bit structure, it is a strong piece of paper, and I glue it with liquid glue onto my paper, and I cut it out, and I want to have a little offset. And yeah, this has now an advantage because you can glue the white Bauble on the back side, and you have also offset in green. I used a green cardstock because I used also a green Weatherfine color, and it is a classical color for Christmas. Green, red, and yeah, white. It is gold, of course. It is also a classical color, and yeah, as you can see, I also use this leftover, and I have now again an offset, and I will glue it onto my paper. But of course, first of all, I have to glue my Bauble onto my green cardstock again with liquid glue, and then it is glued. I can use the offset, and I also use my liquid glue. You have to be a little bit careful because you don't want to have the glue all over your stamp. And yeah, sometimes I use my paper towel, and I use a little bit water to clean my mirror cardstock. And yeah, now you can see that I fussy cut my offset, and I will glue now the next part onto the back side of my Bauble. I like to layer my Baubles, and I think it makes a big difference when you have something green, something red, and also a white one. and it makes a big difference in my eyes. It is really a nice bauble, and you can hang it in your Christmas tree, and I hope it is a nice gift for my friends or family, and perhaps they would like to hang it in their tree or have a nice decoration in their rooms. But now I don't want to talk so much because I think you can see what I'm crafting, and yeah, later on I will say a few things. Yeah, and now you can see that my baubles are ready, they are finished. I have now 4 big ones, and I will use the 4 big ones, not the little one, because I will use 2 pages of my white cardstock, and I cut it in half, and now I make my base for my cards. And I don't know what I will do with a smaller one, but perhaps I will use it in another project. I will also do some layering, and I cut brown paper in 4 pieces, and here you can see my 4 pieces, and I want to use my embossing folder. I bought it in a shop named Action, and I will use my embossing folder for a background, and I will do also something with my embossed paper. You will see what I will do. I embossed my paper off camera, and you can see now the result. It is I say always a 2D instead of a 3D embossing folder. This is my little embossing folder, and I made a red point on it, so I know how the embossed side will be, and yeah, there is no mark on my embossing folder, so I know which part is embossed and which one is debossed, and the red point shows the embossed side. First of all, I embossed all my 4 pieces, the brown paper, and now I have to cut it. And I first embossed it because sometimes you don't have your paper in the middle of your embossing folder, and afterwards it is, in my eyes, easier to cut it in the right position for your card. all 4 brown pieces are embossed, and now I will do something with my embossed paper. I have pen art waxes, wax pastes, and I like them very much. I like to do mixed media things, and therefore I have a few things and where in my crafting room, and I use it now. And I use only a little bit on my fingertip, and I try to put it onto my embossed parts of my embossed paper, and I think it has a very nice effect and I like it very much. It gives a little bit extra to your paper, and it is a little bit shiny, but not too much. And the main thing is the bauble in the middle, and I only want a little bit in the background. Yeah, now I have 2 different pastes and wax pastes, and one is a bronze one and the other one is a rosé, a pink one. Yeah, and now I have a little problem. I want to attach my bauble, but I want to attach it that you can use it as a recipient, as an embellishment for your tree or something like that. And I don't want to glue it. Yeah, now I'm thinking about it, how I can fix my problem. But first of all, I want to do something with the corners of my paper, and you can see what I'm doing now. These are impresslets, and I used a silver cardstock, a mirror cardstock in my impresslets, and you have always a bigger one and a smaller one, and I want to use it for my bauble, and I want to hang it into this thing above, and I don't glue the middle one onto my paper, and now I use my thread to turn it through my Bauble and I will attach it to my card. Yeah, you can see that I had some problems with my Bauble. I want to have it in place, but I don't want to glue it down onto my paper. And now I use the smaller impresslet, and I only want to use the smaller one to hold my Bauble in place. But that was not a good decision, and now I want to attach my thread behind my first page, and I will use again something as an embellishment, another impresslet, and I glue it only on the right and on the left side. But my little embellishment, my small impresslet, doesn't want to hold my Bauble in place. And now I was looking for another solution, and I was looking for a tape, and this is a red tape, and I use it now and glue it. I tape it on my thread, and this tape will attach my thread, and it is still possible to use my Bauble and to have a possibility to take it out of my card. I still have some embellishments on my table, and I want to use it now in my card, and you can see now what I'm doing. But finally, I think I had a better solution, and this is now my solution. You can see what I'm doing, and I think I must not explain it because you can see it in the video. I like my little cuts in my paper, and I think this is a much better solution, and you can turn around the small thread, and when you can attach it easily onto your card. And of course you must pay attention that you don't glue your thread onto the paper. I only use a little bit for my washi tape, and it holds my thread in the middle, but I think you can take it off and it is not a problem for the recipient. The washi tape is not as strong, and the recipient can still pull the thread out of the card and then can use the tag in his hand or her hand. And however, you should also write this on the card as an explanation, so that the recipient knows that he or she has received a small gift that can be used. This is now the last example, and I again use my puncher, and it has a great effect on my card, and I think you have a really nice possibility to embellish your cardstock. I again use my scissors, and now I have two cuts next to each other. And again, I used my bracelets and cut off gold mirror cardstock, this little star. No, it is not the little one, it is the big one, okay, but it is a nice embellishment. And now I have 4 very nice cards, and I think the last solution with the assembling was much easier, and I would do it again. The first one is perhaps, it looks a little bit better, but I think it is much more work. And if you have a time, then it's okay, but when you want to make more cards, perhaps the second idea is better. Now I show you all my cards, and of course I made some photos, and I hope you like my video, and perhaps I have some inspirations for your Christmas cards. And if you want to write a comment, that would be very kind of you. And if you don't want to miss anything anymore, please subscribe to my channel. And I say bye for now.